I settled into this serene, overpriced enclave with one true passion, my sleek jet black McLaren. That car wasn't just a ride, it was my sanctuary, my triumph, my quiet joy. I never played music, never floored it at midnight, and kept it under 20 miles per hour within our gated haven. Yet, somehow, it sparked a wildfire of envy in our HOA president's heart. Welcome to Epic Chronicles. Hit that like button and subscribe for the juiciest HOA sagas. Trouble kicked off with a note slapped on my windshield. Not a friendly nudge. Oh no, this was peak Karen Creed hysteria. Your vehicle endangers our peace, it ranted. It's too fast, too menacing for kids, and shatters our tranquil vibe. Remove it in 14 days or face consequences. I chuckled, snapped a pic for my Karen files, and figured that was the end. No HOA rule banned specific cars, and I wasn't racing. If anyone was a hazard, it was Karen, zooming her SUV at 45 while scolding stray cats. Then came day 15. I strolled outside, coffee in hand, and stopped dead. My McLaren was demolished, windows shattered, paint gouged, tires shredded. It looked like a scene from a post-apocalyptic flick. A neighbor sidled up, eyes wide, and muttered, "Saw Karen and the landscaper messing with your car last night. Seemed odd." Odd? Susan, that's cop calling territory. I didn't yell or break down. I grinned. Why? Because Karen didn't know about the security cam tucked in my porch light. I sauntered inside, pulled up the footage, and there she was. Karen, in her full, hammer-wielding glory, ranting about car threats like she was starring in a low-budget thriller. I hit pause, dialed my lawyer, and leaned back. Karen thought she'd won by trashing my ride. "Oh honey, you just gifted me a shiny new McLaren courtesy of your bank account." Karen must have swaggered home post-rampage, feeling like the neighborhood's caped crusader, saving us all from the terror of a sleek sports car. Poor thing. She had no clue I held to aces she couldn't match, a lawyer on speed dial, and ironclad proof. Here's the wild tale of how I turned the tables on a neighborhood menace and handed the whole saga to the cops, complete with video proof, timestamps, and a rock-solid witness account from Denise, who finally realized was just a polite word for criminal. The officer watching the footage couldn't hold back a chuckle, saying, "She's not even pretending to be Steaky, no mask, no gloves, just Karen in her flowery robe, wielding a sledgehammer like she's pruning roses on someone's Lamborghini." The HOA scrambled to smooth things over, sending me a stiff apology letter naturally. Karen's signature was nowhere to be found. Instead, she went full scorched earth when the police knocked. She had the audacity to play the victim, ranting that my car was a four-wheel death trap, and claiming she'd warned me it was a danger to the neighborhood. Vandalism as a public service? That's a new one. She even tried to drag kids into it, arguing my car was practically begging people to race. That's like blaming a toaster for someone's burnt breakfast. Karen thought she could outsmart everyone by quoting the HOA handbook, but I combed through that thing twice, just to rub it in, and found zero rules about banning certain cars. I even sent the board a color-coded PDF titled Karen's Imaginary Rulebook, Debunked Edition for good measure. By the time we hit the courtroom, I had an airtight case: property damage, trespassing, harassment, defamation, thanks to her neighborhood-wide smear emails calling me a reckless speedster, and emotional distress. My lawyer was practically giddy. Karen, on the other hand, rolled into court with no attorney, just a clipboard and a scowl, clutching grainy photos of my car parked legally, mind you, right in front of my house. I almost pitied her. Almost. The courtroom drama peaked when the judge leaned forward and asked, "Miss Karen, are you confessing to vandalizing the plaintiff's vehicle?" Her response? "I did what the HOA failed to do for months, shut it down." It felt like justice, pure and simple. One final hearing stood between her and a ruling that would make her epic meltdown the priciest in HOA law. Karen strutted into court with the audacity of someone who thought smashing my McLaren was a public service, as if she'd be handed a trophy for neighborhood heroics. I sat there, cool as a breeze, sipping courtroom water like it was vintage wine I'd soon be charging her for. My attorney kicked things off with a visual bang, a crisp image of Karen, hammer in hand, mid-swing, looking like she was auditioning for a chaotic home renovation show. The judge's eyebrow shot up. The audience buzzed. Karen let out a theatrical cough, as if that could erase the evidence. Then came the emails. Oh, those emails. Karen had fired off HOA-wide rants, branding me a reckless speed demon, a menace to society. And my personal favorite, a fast and furious wannabe. My lawyer, with a flair for drama, had them printed on glossy sheets for maximum impact. Karen shouted, "That's misleading." The judge peered over his glasses. "Ma'am, you wrote these when it was her turn." Karen didn't back down. "That car was a danger to every kid in a 5-block radius. I had to act. That kind of horsepower doesn't belong near families." The judge, unfazed, asked, "So, you smashed it?" "I stopped it," she declared, stone-faced. The court reporter froze, pen hovering as if she needed a moment to process that one. Then it was my turn. I calmly explained that my car hadn't gone over 20 miles an hour in the neighborhood ever. I rolled into court armed with a stack of evidence that would make any detective jealous. Noise decibel records, GPS data, and sworn statements from neighbors who swore my car was quieter than a library at midnight. I basically turned into a one-man CSI team to debunk her ridiculous claims. When the final arguments wrapped, the judge let out a weary breath, leaned back in his chair, and said, "This is one of the wildest cases I've ever seen, but the proof is undeniable. Miss Karen, you're on the hook for all damages." Karen's eyes widened like she'd just been told her Wi-Fi was down for good. "Excuse me," she stammered. The judge didn't flinch. "You will cover the full cost of replacing the vehicle, including its custom features, plus court costs and a fine for harassment." Her face crumpled like a bad origami project, while I sat there grinning like I just won the lottery. She had to part ways with her precious white Range Rover and even took out a second mortgage. Her husband quit the HOA board, her landscaper ghosted her, and her poodle started losing fur from stress. Karma was putting in extra hours, and it was glorious. I cruised through the neighborhood at a leisurely 10 miles per hour, blasting the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme from my speakers. Karen stood on her lawn, hose in hand, staring at me like I was the final level of a game she'd spectacularly lost. Her roses were probably drowning from the way she gripped that nozzle. At the next HOA meeting, she tried to spin her defeat, insisting she'd acted to protect the community and that the courts were biased against safety. The room wasn't buying it. Denise, bless her, showed up with a bag of popcorn for the drama. The HOA voted unanimously to boot Karen from her president's throne, and one member even floated the idea of banning her for disrupting the neighborhood's peace. As for me, I upgraded my security with a top-tier camera system. Karen hasn't come within spitting distance of my property since. She avoids me like I'm a walking bad luck charm in a supercar. I framed her original HOA complaint letter, the one that started this whole saga, and hung it in my garage next to a still from the security footage of her wielding that hammer like a wannabe Thor. Sometimes I just sit in my McLaren, soaking in the flawless craftsmanship and glancing at the court receipt, framed like a trophy. This wasn't just about getting a new car. It was about showing the whole neighborhood that waving an HOA title doesn't make you untouchable. Try to ruin someone's life, be ready to pay the price. Clinging to your own made-up rules could cost you everything, especially when it's all because of a petty vendetta against a simple gear shift. Hit that like button and subscribe for more epic HOA battles. What do you think? Did Karen get what was coming to her? Drop your thoughts in the comments.